Good day, good morning, good evening, commanders. Struggling with a new chemical? Not to worry, I'm here to help. As always, we'll start with the better side first. Welcome, commanders. Today, we are analyzing chemical. Now, chemical is an old map, however, it's changed. They've completely revamped it and made it into something completely new that plays very differently than how we used to play it back in the day. So, you'll notice that there's four zones in the middle. They're all one pointers. And then there's two zones, you could say on the flanks and also on the back sides of each player's zones. So you have Delta, Bravo, and you have Alpha and Charlie. Now, of course, this is the better side in my opinion. And the reason being is that you get very far up here and you get very far up here. It's simply because of that. And if you take Monad, of course, justify both of these aggressive pushes with recon helicopters, otherwise don't do them. If you cannot justify them, then don't do them. But I'm telling you, you get up here basically. Especially if you have fire support right behind you, you can take all of this and then sit here for the rest of the game. This is also practically yours for the taking, and if you get into here, this is already over, as you can see. So it's pretty tricky, but this is the better side. And these long roads also benefit divisions that get special forces units, special forces vehicles, not units, special forces vehicles, such as Manad, 9th Panzer, 20th Panzerna with the Honkurisses, and so on and so forth. So you will benefit a lot from 120 kilometer per hour speed, because this map's spawns are really far away and the roads are really long. So FD doesn't win here, speed wins here. So the idea as Blue's side, in my opinion, is to always go for Alpha. Alpha is basically never heavily stacked, and if it is, just push the middle. And even if Alpha is still heavily stacked, you can still get the +2 tick by simply just sitting right here. In between these two buildings, nothing can see you. If you sit right here on that pixel, right there, block off LOS here, blocked off LOS here, blocked off LOS there, blocked off LOS. The only thing that can see you is your back, but you have your own back secured. So just sit here or here if you want. Like you see, LOS is blocked. However, this side can pretty much see you. You get the point. You can still get a very nice plus tick from Alpha, and if they heavily stack it, you can still get the point advantage and then make them spend valuable resources trying to kick you out, whilst you're pushing the middle and completely kicking them out of it. And then you just hold it. So you need to take advantage of these 2 pointers. They're very useful. As for Delta, you basically get to Delta. You get to about here. In my experience, you get to about here. You don't get further up because they get further up. They get to there. But of course, justify with a recon helicopter if you can push as far as possible. If you see that nothing is being deployed here, push as far as possible. Seize all the space. You need space to play with. Seize the space if nothing is placed there. Obviously, back it up with fire support of any kind, IFVs, whatever, and start pushing forward. If you cannot, unfortunate, you'll play for it a bit later. So the idea is to tick this for 2 points. If you can, take it completely and then push on to the back zone. I think that its name is Charlie. And also take this flank as well. That's the idea here as Blue. You also get to about here, justifying it with a recon helicopter and fire support. You can get into Gulf basically from the start of the game, which is really powerful. You also practically get to Hotel. Not exactly. You have to deploy a bit back, but justifying it with a recon helicopter, fire support early on, and you can get into hotel very easily, and then you can play from these buildings that you see here. Let me zoom in a bit. You see, you can play from these buildings here, and no one's kicking you out of here if you're playing it correctly. Because like all you need is an ATGM here, some tanks here, IFV support, and then just play this as well very nicely. Cut off this field with an ATGM, and then play on it with your own tanks, and you're gonna have a really good time because you all you have to do is just sit here. So if you take a look, you get more buildings as blue in red zone. So this is red zone. We'll just mark it like this. There we go. So this is red zone, but you get more buildings than they do as red, which is like, what's going on? How is that fair? And then there's this middle ground of just open space covered with lines of forest. So, as you can see here, we are clearly at the advantage when it comes to like the map positioning. So you need to exploit it. So let's see how we are going to do this. So we're gonna have an FD unit seizing space here, justified with a recon helicopter, fire support in the back, push up to here, then seize this, and stay there. You can obviously seize more space if you're trying to do a blitz attack, if you're trying to win in 5 minutes. Keep going with your lurkers, IFVs, fire support, autocannons, anything. Keep going, keep going. The force that you sent to the north hopefully takes Hotel and then moves on to Charlie later, making the enemy spend points to defend Charlie while also having to deal with the middle problem. So, that's this zone basically. Once you take this, you're gonna be in a good position. You can keep going, but you can also just sit there because there's really nothing special about it. This map is very, very. Unfortunately, this map is both easy but and hard to blitz. Easy in the sense of if you take the back pointers, uh, practically a win because then you can also take the middle as well. But if you cannot take the back pointers, just sitting into golf will be a measly +1 tick, and sitting in hotel will be a measly +2. And you're in both of the enemy's middle zones, and you're only on a +2, which is just a bit weird. So this map is really about like being passive. Of course, I have games on Chemical that last very small amount of time. However, some can go on to like a 30-minute game. On very unfortunate, like the enemy just does not want to surrender even though the game is lost for them, and then they drag it out to a 30-minute game, and it's really, really annoying. But what can you do? So we discussed how you want to seize this early on. That's one of your priorities. Well, actually, in my opinion, the first priority is this. That's the first. Second is down here on the south, if you recall. Third priority is getting up to here, and fourth is here. Because golf is, you basically get into golf already, so this is your last priority. You can put the least amount of units there and still get into golf pretty easily. Alpha is a big, big key. I would suggest sending one or two IFVs, forward deploy, recon fire support, and an AA unit. Should cost you about 300 to 400 points. Um, Onto here, I would suggest sending around 200 points. Maybe just an autocannon and an FD unit, IFV, and that's it. AA, you don't need AA here on the left. You can justify it with your air, or you could justify it with AA that's already here. Just move to the left and you'll be fine, if that makes sense. Um, to here, I would spend the most amount of points. To here, I would spend around hmm, 500 points, something like that. Or maybe even more, maybe like 600. Yeah, let's say 600. I would spend 600 points right here on the third zone. Maybe sometimes even go up to 700. The rest you can spend on the fourth, or you can spend it in the middle, or you could spend even more. If you really don't want to do this, you can place the rest of the points onto the third objective and just have something small garrisoning the fourth. So you can just have like something small here, 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 and the rest of your points being stacked right here, because this is kind of your victory condition. If you recall from the analysis I did on two ways, we talked about the victory condition that the better side has in the flank zone of the worse side. The same way it functions like that, same way it functions here. This is your victory condition, VC. So if things don't work out on alpha, if things don't work out on the left, if things don't work out here, you can always go back to just your victory condition. You can always go back to just sitting here for the rest of the game and defending the rest of the map. I know it's boring, but if you do not want to lose, this is how you don't lose, basically. Let's take a look. In the middle, there are some good LOS spots, such as this one. This one overlooks, as you can see, the entire road. There are some LOS spots down here. As you can see, this building overlooks the entire road, but not all the way, and it doesn't get up to like max range of 80 GMs. So if you see that your enemy is pushing this hard, you can put an 80 GM here, and that will stop a lot of things. There are also good LOS spots here that overlook. And in general, I like to play around these forests here because they overlook a lot and they do well. Also keep in mind that this exists and that they can also shoot. Um, the middle, a bit suicidal. It's like that building in Death Row, if you recall on my Death Row analysis. There's that one middle building that's suicidal basically, because if you go into it, the entire enemy position overlooks you, and then pulling out of it is a bit dangerous and you can die. So in general, I avoid going for this building. I don't think in any of my games that I played on Chemical, and I've played about, I don't know how many, it's a lot. I've played a lot of games on Chemical on this version of it and on the old one. I don't think I've put a unit here in the middle building yet. In all of my games on this new version of Chemical, I don't think I've ever put a unit in this building, simply because it's just it's way too aggressive, and it's hard to justify. Like how can you justify a building that can be shot at from every angle of the enemy position, and for you to shoot the angles that are shooting you, you have to come out of your cover. Like he can be in cover and still shoot you, whereas you have to come out and deal with him. So you're at a disadvantage there, and you can lose that tank duel, obviously, and that's why it's risky. It's not just about the infantry unit or recon unit that you're gonna lose if you put it in this building. It's about what's gonna happen if you push out and try to deal with the things that are shooting at you. You have to think about it a bit more deeper. Playing for this forest, in my opinion, is pretty great. I think this side definitely wants to play for this forest a lot more than the blue side does. The red side wants to play for it a lot more than the blue. But even the blue side will benefit a lot from taking this, simply because you can just put things in this forest and have a comfortable position, and you can always link up on a two-pronged attack, because you remember from the beginning of the game we said we are going to go for alpha. That automatically means that all of this is yours, so you can always go like this from this side to the left if need be. So definitely play for this forest as both sides. As for hotel, my usual deployment as blue here consists of an FD unit, some recon fire support, AA, maybe a tank sometimes, and then you just an infantry, of course, and then you just push up. You justify pushing up, because if you take a look at it, if you put a tank here, the only way it's gonna get shot is if something is in these buildings. But if you have like 5 vehicles that are here stacked, and something is in these buildings like an ATGM that's shooting at you, you're gonna kill it instantly. Like there's no hope for it. So it's really hard for the red side to stop any vehicles that you placed here, simply because there's no LOS spot that can target them. They have to come out of their hiding spots to be able to shoot you. And of course, you're gonna make it so that they lose that fight as soon as they take it, so they don't even think about taking that fight. So that's why the blue side is better, because you can just stack things here and you can kill all of these buildings. Like these buildings are really suicidal for red. As soon as red gets into these buildings, red like practically insta dies, and that's why red is at a constant disadvantage in during the game. So yeah, the idea is to seize these buildings early on and then sit in them for the rest of the game, defend them with everything you have. And because the enemy is going to be the one attacking you, I expect you to win the game if you've seized these positions and are holding the rest of the map. Because, like, what is your enemy going to do? If you hold this well enough, if you hold it well enough, your enemy is not gonna push anything. Like, you can just stack tanks here, push them up as if need be. You can put a tank here, you can put a tank here, you can put ATGMs, infantry, ATGMs, AA here as well. Tank, ATGM here, looking over. My bad, that was a really bad line. Looking over this road. So there's a lot of play here, and blue is at the constant advantage, so you need to use the map's positioning to win this game. Lastly, moving on to the left side, of course, you want to be doing all of these things simultaneously. You don't want to be doing first alpha, then middle, then left, because that doesn't make any sense and you're going to lose the game. So, all of these things simultaneously, you want to be doing them at the same time. What are we gonna do on the left? So on the left, I don't think I've literally seen anyone use this road, to be honest. And I don't think I've used it any time ever on all of my games on Chemical. I don't think I've ever used it. Because like I mean, okay, maybe something like if you're trying to sneak up on an ATGM and then attack it from the side, then maybe you can use it. But I still find just going here push up that ATGM is just a lot better than going like around this much. Like this just wastes so much time. So I don't really see the point in this road even existing because I don't use it. I haven't seen anyone use it. So yeah, don't use that road. I mean, you can if you want to, but yeah, I didn't find myself using it anytime. I would have an FD unit here, of course, justified with a recon helicopter every single game. I tell everyone this. I always start with at least 2 recon helicopters every rank game. No exceptions. Absolutely zero exceptions. Every ranked game that I play, I always start with 2 or more recon helicopters. Even if my opponent is playing a division that has like 3 times my ASFs and that gets a lot better ASFs than me, I still do not care. Kill my Gazelle, kill my Alouettes, kill my Gazelles, kill my Mi-2s, kill my Mi-8s, kill any recon helicopter that you want. I do not care. As long as I will get some intel out of it at least, and spending those at least 70 or 105 points, or maybe 140 points on getting that intel is very, very useful. Now on this map, my usual stack of recon helicopters consists of this. And as you can see, you have one going to the left and then pushing up to spawn. You have one just suiciding in the middle to check for all of these roads. To see that, first of all, because you're trying to justify a lot of things here. You're trying to justify like aggressiveness on this part and on this part as well. Now, instead of buying 2 recon helicopters and then sending them to each part, you can afford to buy 1 recon helicopter and then send it just down the middle. Obviously, efficiency is key. So we have one in the middle and then one on the right, as you can see, justifying our aggressive push here. That's the idea. Basically, go down this road, aggro, and win, basically. When you get the alpha, try to transfer to Charlie. If you can't, just hold alpha where you are and get the 2 tick out of it. The point is not to have this for the entire game. Of course, if you can get it for the entire game, that's like congratulations. Very nice. Like you're going to win that game. But if you can't keep it for the entire game, and if you're not interested in keeping it for the entire game, feel free to pull out once you've ticked enough of it. Like, make your enemy just have a like horrific day trying to retake Alpha, and once they finally retake it, they're like, "Oh my God, I'm at like an 800 point disadvantage. What the hell happened?" So that's the idea, basically. That's the idea. That's basically it for Chemical. Thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow I'll analyze the worst side of Chemical. Until then, feel free to watch some of my other videos covering different maps. Until next time, Commander.